Wow, Cap, the responses in this Otani video that we just uploaded the other day has been way stronger than what we've talked about racism, uh,
Yo,
the termination of pregnancies before
I'll
their
say this, man.
time,
People were so passionate in these. And it's weird because
Russia and Ukraine.
the ratio of the
People
views,
mad
right?
at me, Cap.
The ratio, yeah. People hate you because you're a salty Mets fan. I saw it a few times. I was
Yeah,
kind of
I mean,
laughing at the
apparently, like, I'm
salty
so
Mets fan.
upset that the guy I did not want on my team didn't sign. I'm like really upset about it.
So this is the interesting part, right? Is if you look at the likes dislike ratio, the ratio is actually pretty solid. But as you know, right, if people are going to complain, they'll usually write a comment, and you
Right.
know what? Some of them are well thought out comments. Now, the one thing that was annoying is they'd have to look at it. That was from a live stream when the contract pretty much just came over the top, and because people kept mentioning like deferred and all that, and we'll go into
Right.
greater depth when we get to those comments. But
Right.
that's just me kind of chopping up like we were having a conversation about Otani.
Right.
Never did either of us say Otani was a shit ball player,
Nope.
bad pitcher, bad hitter, any of that. We both
Nope.
understand he's a generational talent. It's actually a travesty. The Anaheim Angels, because that's what they are, the
Couldn't do
Anaheim
anything around
Angels
him.
didn't do nothing with him and Trout,
Yep.
right? And he's
Yep.
a fantastic ball player, but we just brought up some concerns that like, hey, he's got some injury bugs and he's, in his well, pretty much almost 30 at this point. This guy, he's going to be on the decline. We have seen it. It's not like, people thought when Albert Pujols went to St. Louis Cardinals to the Angels, right, that he was just going to be Albert Pujols forever. But Father Time is undefeated. Now, I'm hoping he
Yep.
does fantastic for the Dodgers. I think that'd be great for that market. But
Absolutely.
we were not saying he's a bad player. Now, would I liked
Right.
him at the Red Sox, right? I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm a Boston fan. Absolutely. But $70 million, that's where a lot of our conversation was regarding.
Right.
And
Now,
we'll
for
go
me,
into, yeah.
as you said, as a Boston Red Sox fan, you would want him on your team. I'm
Yeah.
saying, as a New York Mets fan, an organization who's thrown shitty contract after shitty contract on old and or injured players. No, I do not want Shohei Ohtani on my team unless he is getting paid 30 to 35 million a season to be the DH. I would
Oof.
love him on my team as a DH for a record DH contract, but nothing more. For $70 million a year, especially the first year. That's the thing that gets me, Cap, right?
Mm.
The AAV is $70 million. So that means in year one, you're going to have a $70 million DH on your team. Do you know what a DH is? It is a guy who sits on the bench the entire game except for 4 or maybe 5 plate appearances.
Well, listen.
No, I don't want
See,
that on my team.
as a Red Sox fan, having like the greatest DH of all time in David Ortiz, like, hey, I mean, I don't hate the DH position. They bring a lot of value, clutch hits, big hits. I mean, for me personally with Otani, I would have been fine paying him like even 50 million, 55 million, like towards
Yeah,
the
that's
like
what
towards
I thought.
towards the higher range. I think people. I know for you, less roasting for me. It's probably because I'm, a redhead, right? They understand I get roasted every day, but
Yeah, hell yeah.
it was just 70 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of dough. And I
Yeah.
mean, the Red Sox
For
don't spend
DH.
money anymore. Yeah, for a DH.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, like you talked about it earlier, Cap, and this is like really this my concern about Otani, my direct concern about him is his injury history. Like guys are not even talking about the fact that he is currently right now still injured. He's going to be currently and officially injured until 2025. And then we do not know what kind of pitcher he will be when he returns. We don't know that.
Yeah.
So we'll go through it a little bit later because some people had some heat for me, and I want to save some of these points for some of these comments that had the heat for your boy.
I loved it.
Oh, and again, and my second main issue, which is really my first issue, because I don't really care where Otani went. I don't care how much Otani actually wanted to spend how much the team wanted to spend on him in a bubble. In a
Yeah.
bubble, in a vacuum. If the
Yeah.
Dodgers want to just be like bent over with no lube, I don't care. I'm not a Dodgers fan. And I will not have to pay the tickets at Dodger Stadium, which
Well,
in a previous video, which we will link down in the description, Captain Paul looked at the ticket prices. I'm not gonna dude, I am not gonna spoil the numbers that we saw
yeah.
for what will be essentially the most meaningless game of the season, because everybody loves opening day. I love opening day. I went to my very first opening day in 2023 in my entire life, right?
Yeah.
Great experience. However, it is the most worthless game in terms of the standings. Like, nobody says, hey, if we go back to opening day, such and such beat such and such. No one cares. As a matter of fact, my shitty organization has the best opening day record in MLB history. And what has that gotten us? Nothing. You get what I'm saying? So
fair point. Fair point.
So what you're talking about, the prices for opening day, again, I will not spoil it for you guys. Link will be down in the description. Captain Paul's deep dive into the range of ticket prices at Dodger Stadium coming up in 2024. But let's get to these comments, man. This is what what the people want to see. They want to see, how did they respond to your boy? All right, first comment from Totally Legit says, they're saying most of his salary is deferred, so AAV will probably be in the 30 to 50 range. Even said Otani asked for it so the Dodgers can still build around him, so the range could be even lower. So something that I'm seeing, and one of my good friends who's a Yankees fan that I've taken to Mets games and all of that, and he's a pretty rabid Yankees fan, so we talk about baseball all the time. He said that $680 million of this will be deferred. But for the CBT purposes, and believe me, my team is deep in that CBT, so I know all about it. It won't be in the 30 to 50 range. It will be about $46 million a year, which is still a record for AAV, as it counts towards the competitive balance tax, which they really only created to stop my Mets from buying all of the league's all-stars.
That's a fact.
Right?
Yeah.
They call it the Cohen tax colloquially. Yeah. Okay? So, again, when we first recorded the other video, that was on Saturday night in the middle of our MMA stream that we just kind of created some time. If you look, there's a bottom ticker that's kind of running along the bottom, was our 103rd episode of the Filthy Casual MMA Watch Party. Definitely check us out on Saturdays when UFC is doing their thing. We will be covering UFC 296. So come roast me back here on this channel on Saturday night. The next guy, Braxton, said, you guys didn't talk about the deferrals. Nobody knew about any goddamn deferrals
at that point. No.
Okay. But let me just read the whole thing and not break it up. You guys didn't talk about the deferrals, which is a huge caveat when judging this contract. The Dodgers will be able to continue to spend money to bring in talent around him. You act like 2 Tommy Johns is a death sentence. There's been plenty of players who've had 2 or more and have come back and been great. I can see how this will inflate the price for future big free agents, but I don't see how it will, quote, ruin baseball. Yeah, this will likely make Soto expect more next year, but all he's going to hear is, Juan, no, you can't pitch, LOL. We're not giving you anything near what Otani contract is, end quote. Same for all other future free agents. Ultimately, this whole segment just seems not well researched, and you didn't really support any of your points very well. Kind of just felt like the Reddit thread of a salty fan base. C- is the grade we got. Okay, so let's break it up here.
Yep.
You guys didn't talk about the deferrals, which is a huge caveat when judging this contract. The Dodgers will be able to continue to spend money to bring in talent around him. Let me first say, YouTube, I kind of hate you sometimes because none of these people saw the video when it was first uploaded. So if people were able to see it when it was first uploaded, their responses would probably be more in kind towards when we actually recorded
made the video.
video.
You're right.
Which is a little frustrating. But yeah, we didn't have the whole contract deferral. Everything that came through the ticker when it was announced was 700 million
Yep.
over 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, the Dodgers will be able to continue to spend money to bring in talent around. Let me explain something to you guys about this, right? The actual real dollar value since 680 million, according to my good guy, my good friend Jerry. Shout out to you, Jerry. Watch this video, asshole. Um, is that 680 million will be deferred in real dollars, which means when you account for inflation, since most of the money is not going to be paid out until like 2034, which is insane. They're going to start actually paying this man after he's gone, which is one of the stupidest things ever.
It's a
workaround of the
workaround.
contract when you factor in inflation will not be quite $700 million because the value of the U.S. dollar will continue to plummet, especially
Right.
over the next 10 years and what we're looking at the next 10 to 19 years, according to the language of the contract. However, do you think other players care about, oh my God, there's $680 million deferred? Number one, other players ain't playing that shit. They're like, yo, I'm trying to get paid today, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these other players, like, Juan Soto is not nearly as marketable as Shohei Ohtani. Soto is not making Ohtani money in endorsements. So Ohtani is like making, I think he said something in the $50 million a year range in endorsements.
Yeah.
He's
I
going to be
mean,
fine.
yeah, absolutely, because he's got also a market here and back in Japan. They love him. Like
Right.
they like baseball is life over there, right?
Yeah.
So I think when it kind of comes down to it, though, you can defer the money. Eventually, they're still going to be paying for it, and who pays for this ultimately? Who pays for it ultimately? The fans. The fans, the ticket prices, all of this stuff does go up over time, and it makes it more difficult for the everyday family to afford tickets to take their kid to a ball game, right? That's
Right.
kind of the American dream, a part of it, getting a house, going to a ballpark game with your kid. Like I grew up going to Fenway Park, and there was some really like memorable moments for me watching, either Mo Vaughn or like when I got older, David Ortiz just destroy a baseball and go like wrap around pesky pole or go over the green monster, either or.
Mhm.
And it's just I don't want to sit here and say, oh my God, the owners are poverty. I'm not really claiming that. But baseball, to a large degree, while you've seen an increase in attendance over like the last year, it's a sport that's kind of losing some momentum in a lot of ways. Maybe the baseball rule changes that have happened, kind of turns that around. But maybe I'm crazy to say this, but baseball, I'm not sure where it's going to be in 10 years from now. I'm not sure
Right.
exactly where it's going to be in the marketplace. Will it be the third, fourth, sport in North America?
Yeah,
You know?
and I'm glad that you said that, Cap, because a part of the reason why I believe that this is bad for baseball is it because this guy is getting that money. I believe that every player is worth the money that they can negotiate. However, I'm looking at the fact that Bally Sports filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy,
Yep.
and they failed to pay some of their teams the fee that the fee to broadcast their games. They
Yeah.
started to fail to make payments this year when MLB had to take over the broadcasting for those teams. It actually made it better for the fan because the fan was able to basically stream the games with no blackouts. So there were like no
Yeah.
restrictions on how they could watch the games if you're not at the ballpark. But the whole thing about the regional sports deals, they're going down, not up. Like there's a major problem. So when the contracts are really starting to get out of hand,
Yep.
they were mostly subsidized. The team said, "Well, we're getting all this money because of the cable deals that we are making," and people are cord cutting left and right. Cable TV is dying. So the
Yep.
deals that go with them are also dying.
Yep.
So there is no other, where are going to be the other revenue streams that are
Because
going to subsidize these player contracts? Because the players don't care about 680 million deferred. The players say we got 70 million AAV, which is 27.3 or 26.3 $26.7 million above the previous high,
yeah. Yeah. Oh,
right?
and that
That's all the
yeah.
players care about. They're not trying to hear, well, I can't pitch, or they're not trying to hear, they're going to be like, listen, In 2024, we played a season, and it's now it's now hot stove time. And my batting average is better than Otani's. I hit more home runs than Otani. I have more RBIs than Otani this year. So I want 76 million AAV.
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of. I don't care that Otani went to the Dodgers. And you're gonna see some of the responses to me is like, oh, he's just mad he didn't go. No. I'm tired of the Mets overpaying for injured and or old players. I like how you mentioned Mo Vaughn. Guess who the Mets gave a whole bunch of money to at the end of his career? Mo Vaughn.
Mo Vaughn.
I had forgotten about that until you mentioned him.
I loved
Bobby
Mo Vaughn,
Bonilla. Anybody still thinks the Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla?
Yeah, I mean, but what it kind of comes down to it is that, let's say, because this is an argument. Well, they're going to say, oh, well, he's not a pitcher. So you're not a pitcher, so you're not getting that. He's still going to get maybe upwards to $55-60 million. And it just makes it so you're going to have platoon players essentially making like 15-20 million a year eventually, it seems like at this point. It's just it's a little bit ludicrous, and especially in a sport where the streaming, it's not as profitable as cable.
Nope.
It's not. So
Ask
unless they jump up the fees from these streaming platforms and they make it like a cable subscription, then you're going to ask yourself, well, why the fuck did I even go to? Well, why would I just go back to cable, right?
Right.
It's just there is some honest to God questions regarding that. And you know what's this next one though? This next comment.
Oh, hold on. I wanted to break this down. I wanted to break down this guy's comment. The second part of his comment says, "You act like 2 Tommy Johns is a death sentence." Yeah. There's been plenty of players who've had 2 or more and have come back and been great. And who is that? Like, you can count on one hand. I mean, there are guys that come back from 1 Tommy John or 1 shoulder capsule surgery, and they're never the same.
Not the right.
Like, Justin Verlander came back, I think, from 2 Tommy Johns and looked good. And I believe Jacob deGrom. But where is Jacob deGrom right now?
He got hurt again.
Yeah, and the dude what do you have? Like barely 30 innings pitched? Do you think I was crying that he went to the Texas Rangers as a Mets fan? Hell no. So the dude is injury prone.
And it's not even Otani's fault. It's not DeGrom. It's not like it's just wear and tear on the body with how you pitch, right? It's just
especially these high velocity guys.
Yeah, it goes, right? So you're not blaming him. It's not like, oh, he's not training hard enough. No, it's just fucking your ligaments are like, oh, fucking see ya, like, and just gives up on you. And but it's just an honest to God question. If he has to have 2 Tommy Johns, is there going to be a third? Is there going to be a fourth? Because if it's already failed twice, and this is how I look at it, if it's already failed twice, it's going to fail more, and then there's going to be velocity that he loses. Now, you can argue he'll probably be an effective pitcher. Maybe they have to load manage him. Oh, let's say you load manage him. Let's say you give him like 15 starts a year or something like that. I don't know, 20 starts a year. And you kind of a little days. Yeah, like you're preventing any wear and tear to make sure you get the maximum value. I think even with that, right, as we saw with DeGrom, it doesn't matter because when you're injury prone, when you have it's gonna go. And it's, to me, is he a $70 million hitter? No, nobody is. Is he an MVP player? Saying, but the thing is, people misconstrue, like they're acting like we're shit. We look at the statistics. His WAR, he's been one of the top 2, if not number 1. He's been number 1 in the last 3 seasons twice. Number 2 once. He's an amazing ball player. Yeah. It's just kind of pointing out, like, will he be able to sustain that on both sides of the ball? Now, he could still probably be a fantastic hitter. Is he a guy that hits for a high average? No, but he hits for a solid average. He's got good pop. But
I mean, his average is going up, though. We got to give
it has gone up,
to 304. But again, he's still a lifetime 274 hitter.
But even if he hits for like a decent average, like 290, he can hit around 40 dingers or something. That's a valuable player. But is that a $70 million player? No, it's not.
And again, I understand how people can say, well, he's only going to be making $2 million a year in actual real money today, and they're going to add all these players or whatever. I get all of that. However, if you look at the way that the Major League Baseball Players Association And the agents look at this. They do not care about all this ancillary stuff. This is what they care about. 10 years, 700 million. That's
True.
what they care about. So all
True.
the negotiations coming henceforth. And this, if you want to call me a salty Mets fan, you can do that when we start talking about Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is worth a contract value, I'm saying right now, of $250 million. Right now. That mofo is going to be asking for 450 to 550 now.
Yeah.
And this is not about me wanting Ohtani on the team or not. I'm looking at the market long term. This is not good for the game. Anyway, the third part of this guy's comment is, I can see how this will inflate the price for future big free agents, but I don't see how it will ruin baseball. Yeah, this will likely make Soto expect more next year, but all he's going to hear is, Juan, no, you can't pitch. We're not going to give you anything near what Ohtani's contract is. Same for all future free agents. So, dude, do you know what Ohtani's contract includes? It includes a 2024 where he can't pitch. Oh, yep. And Soto is going to be an all-star / gold glove level defender in the outfield in addition to his bat, which he's going to be basically hitting towards a little league right field in Yankee Stadium, where a pop up behind second base is a home run. Okay? Popped up on the infield, going back as a second baseman, going back, and it's out of here. Right? Like that's what it is. Like a left-handed batter like Soto, he's going to kill with the bat in Yankee Stadium. He's also going to play a gold glove level outfield. Something that Ohtani will not do in 2024. What do you think his agent is going to say when he sits down with these teams? They're not going to say, oh, well, I know that Juan can't pitch. They're going to say, listen, Juan drew more walks, had a comparable batting average, had better power numbers, even though they will be inflated because he's hitting in a little league right field. He's going to have 1 million RBIs. They're not going to want to hear, oh, you can't do this. Pay me or I'm going somewhere else. Especially the Yankees that gave up all those players to get him.
Yeah.
Right? So it sounds good what you're saying right now, sir. But, baseball players do not care. Let me take you back when we start talking about AAV, right? And we talk about that shitty contract that Max Scherzer signed with the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
What I think a lot of these fans forget is that Max Scherzer proclaimed his hatred for the New York Mets when the Washington Nationals were looking to trade him at the trading deadline. He said one of the teams he refused to be traded to was the New York Mets when they traded him to the Dodgers, and then he went and had that dead arm shit and then shit the bed in the playoffs for the Dodgers. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next offseason, he ended up in what uniform?
The Mets.
Why? Because they were going to give him a record $43.3 million AAV. So that's what the players cared about. And when Scherzer sat up there in the introductory press conference and he was asked about why he signed with the Mets, part of the reason was he wanted to push up the ceiling for everybody else who was in the union, in the MLBPA. Scherzer never liked being a Met, never wanted to be a Met, but he did it for that 44.3 AAV.
I mean, that's a good conundrum to be in. Now, mind you, New York City's a shitty place to live, but hey, for that much money, hey, can't complain.
I mean, I could probably get you here full time if I gave you a shitty $43.3 million a year in average.
Oh, bro, I would cry. I would cry in my Porsche. Like, yeah, I'd be fine.
The last part of the comment, Cap. Ultimately, this whole segment seems not well researched, and you didn't really support any of your points very well. Just kind of felt like the Reddit thread of a salty fan base. C
mine. Hey, at least it's passing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
C's get degrees, baby.
C's get degrees. That's what she says all the time. But the thing is, I'm very knowledgeable about Major League Baseball. I played baseball in high school. I've been, dreaming about playing baseball since like I was in single digits. I'm a New York Mets fan, a loyal New York Mets fan, which means I actually pay attention
Yeah.
because for most off seasons they don't feature my team, right? So I'm constantly paying attention to what goes on around the league, and I look at all of the rule changes, and that's another good point you make about the rule changes bringing the fans back. If you have a bunch of players starting to ask for 70 million plus, and we're not even just talking about 70 million plus, we're talking about 50 million plus, 60 million plus,
Yeah.
because Otani's war in 2024 is going to be, I don't know, 5.5 because he doesn't play the field,
Yeah.
5.5 or 6 total in 2024. And
It
even if he
depends.
comes back in
Yeah.
an all-star level pitcher, because he's probably still not going to play above 120 games total, like most of his career, he's probably going to have a WAR somewhere between 8.5 and 9.5. I don't think we're
Which
going
is
to see a 10 WAR season again.
well, but which
From
is still fantastic war.
It's still
Right?
fantastic. Like
That's
no,
still
no, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, no hate, right? But the thing is, if a guy has an 8 WAR, which there are several players that do, they're gonna want in salary comparable to the guy with the WAR that's marginally better than theirs.
Yeah, no, that's true because
Right?
they feel like the market goes up over time.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, the market didn't go up over time. The you went from 43.3 to 70 in one shot. There was a whole lot of room in the middle that we just blew past.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
And that's really what my concern is. Do you think that our knowledge of baseball deserves a C minus?
I mean, it's the internet. I don't really freak out when people like, oh, this, whatever. Like, my biggest. This is honestly my biggest statement on that. If you feel like you have more knowledge, you feel like you're more intelligent, then make videos. Go show me the way. You make the video, you do the analysis and all that. And especially for what it was at the time with a live stream kind of ripping it, going off, like, it's really not that deep. I could really go down into the analytics if we really wanted to go down this hole and show you the history of how many players have failed after just one Tommy John. But, we're just kind of reacting to this comment. It's a statistical anomaly for someone to have 2 Tommy John surgeries and come back and be the same pitchers. That's a fact.
Oh, I mean,
Right.
we could also go towards players who were still all-star level in the 10th year of a 10-year contract.
Yep.
How many of those players exist? Exactly
Yeah, but,
0.
I mean, I was here for, and this wasn't 10 year. I think it was 7 or 8. I have to remember the JD Drew. JD Drew sucked after the first year. So I mean, let's be honest. Like, as a Red Sox fan, I've seen some really bad contracts like that we either ship off or sign. That like Jason Bay. Well, he wasn't.
Jason Bay! Oh my God!
Yeah.
The Mets signed Jason Bay to
Yeah.
a 4-year, $44 million contract, and we went to make a catch, crashed into the outfield wall, and then disappeared. It was like he disappeared through the outfield wall. Again, another shitty Mets contract.
And I have to clarify this because people in the comment section are gonna be like furiously typing if they hate this video. I'm not saying either of those players are to the caliber of Otani. So let's,
But we're just talking about
you got to clarify that.
contracts that didn't work out. And the thing is, again, when we're talking about 10-year contracts with these high values, we've yet to see one player play all the way through year 10 and still be at that level. And the best of them would be Albert Pujols.
Yeah, but Albert Pujols also had about 3 down. I'd have to look at it, but like around
It was
a few.
yeah, he got injured.
Yeah, he wasn't right.
Yeah.
He had a good last year in that contract, but outside of that, it was a real fucking struggle.
Yeah, actually, I don't think that he had a good last year of the contract when he went back to.
Oh, that's right. He signed to a 1-year deal.
He signed to like a low money contract with the
St.
Cardinals.
Louis? Yeah.
Yeah. He then went on like this crazy tear.
Yeah, it was insane. That was fun though. It was
kind of scary. I was like, yo, is he gonna play 10 more years?
I mean, he should.
Like, no, I'm done. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I don't
didn't
blame him.
Ortiz do something a little bit similar
Yeah,
before he was like,
yeah.
"Listen,
No,
my feet
Ortiz.
hurt."
Actually, Ortiz. I'll give this to Ortiz. He had fantastic. He was pretty much consistent throughout his whole career. His last year, though, his feet were so beat up, like he had to just hurt to run and walk and shit like that. So he had a great year, but he's like, I'm done. Like I can't do this shit no more. So
Right.
So, but the next comment though here, a little bit more positive, a little bit more positive,
Yeah, a little bit more respectful.
a little less hatred. So, you want to read it? You want me to?
Oh, you could take it.
All right. So this is what I'll say here. So A-Rod Fire. Now, A-Rod, I'm not a fan of, but I'm a fan of this person. All right.
Yeah, I'm a
Good.
fan of this guy because he's a Yankee fan that still wanted to just talk about baseball instead of being disrespectful. Because you'll see, we have some. We're gonna cover all of this shit.
Yeah, straight
Go on, Kat.
dickheads. Good vid, bro. I think there are some things worth mentioning. You have to remember the Dodgers are paying for the player that Otani is right now. While yes, he won't be able to pitch in 24, it's way more common than you think for players to come back from double Tommy John. For example, Justin Verlander, Drew Rasmussen, Jason Talkin. Also, you have to
Taillon.
factor Talon. Sorry, I can't pronounce shit. Also, you have to factor that the Dodgers have one of the best track records for player development, ability to utilize players to their max potential, similar to the Braves and the Rays. Also, to touch on one of your points of the Angels having Otani and Trout and still not making the playoffs. Worth noting, the Angels front office is an absolute dumpster fire. Amen. It's known that they make terrible decisions with their money, and players' careers seem to take a huge hit when they get to Anaheim. Not to mention their pitching is pathetic. Lastly, California state income tax takes a lot more money than most states. That's why you shouldn't go to California, which means the Dodgers would technically
Among
have to
other
pay
things.
more to get Otani versus teams like the Rangers in Texas with no state income tax. Thanks for taking time to read my input. Keep it up. So,
Yeah, this is good. This is good. There
that's
are
a
some
good
faulty
comment.
things with it, though.
That's a really good comment. I still think with the Tommy John thing, he mentioned like 3 names. I'm talking about like the history of, even like the last like 15 years. It's just, I'm not saying Otani can't come back and be an all-star level pitcher, but I do fear of like how much longer can he go until it gives out again. And then
Right.
if you are the Dodgers, at some point you're like, well, I'm going to get diminishing returns, and if he has to get Tommy John, then he can't hit and he can't be out in the field. Or well, I know he doesn't go out in the field, but he can't hit, he can't produce for us. When do you say, okay, enough is enough, and we're just going to use him strictly as a hitter? And that's for me looking at just the per year basis fee of $70 million. I know some of it's getting deferred, which we're going to find out what happens with the CPT thing, if how much punishment the Dodgers face with that contract. But he's not a $70 million hitter. Nobody is.
Nobody is. Right.
I think I could argue, right? And I'll say this again. I think 55, 60 million for Otani. Now, that might have been a high, right?
Yeah.
I could somewhat justify it, but
No, I would think it's pretty reasonable because again, like you say, it's more than just who he is as a player, but it's also
marketing,
the marketing aspect. I mean, how much money did they already recoup in jersey sales and ticket purchases from the wealthiest Californians and guys who are in Malibu and Hollywood area? They all want to be seen at Dodgers games now, right? They're going to pay whatever it costs. They probably already recouped some of that money, which is why
Dodgers.
I'm not concerned for the Dodgers.
No, and Dodgers have a passionate fan base. I think the prices are a little bit ridiculous, but when I did the numbers, like at the very least, and just opening day alone, they're going to make 20 million off those tickets.
At least,
at least it might. Looking into some of the numbers, it could be like upwards up to 35, 40. So I mean, hey, maybe they're just trying to pay off Otani very early, but it's just there's so much risk here with this situation paying him that much, and I understand the excitement if you're a Dodger fan. I'd be excited to have him as a Red Sox player, right? But I just, how is he going to look at year 10? I mean, shit. How is he going to look in year 3, 4 for a pitcher? We don't know.
Well, I get where A-Rod Fire is coming from, but there is a logical fallacy here that I want to kind of pick at a little bit. And really, thank you for your comment. That this was a very comprehensive comment that I mostly agreed with. But here's where I disagree with you. It's way more common than you think for players to come back from double Tommy John. We're not talking about players coming back to play. Where is Drew Rasmussen right now? Where is Jameson Taillon right now? Right? These are not players who are getting $35, $40, $45 million a year. and they never will, right? Justin Verlander is the real one of the three
Yeah.
that you look at and say, wow, this guy is still a very successful on the mound. But even his velocity dropped. I mean, after his first Tommy John, he could still touch triple digits. He was still, I think his fastball was still averaging somewhere between like the 98 and a half to like 99, somewhere in that range off the first one. But
Yeah.
after the second one, I mean, we're looking at him. I looked at him the half of the year that he was with. It wasn't even half the year because he started the season on the injured list. Hello, bad Mets contracts, right?
Right.
His velocity was consistently topping out at 97. I think I could count on one hand. I looked at the radar gun while sitting there in my season tickets down on in the field level seats that I paid thousands of dollars for. I actually put my mouth where where my mouth is. Verlander, I can count on one hand the times that I saw Verlander hit 98 on the gun.
Yeah.
So
I mean, still,
obviously you can't. It's still heat. But the problem is that when players look at video of pitching, 1 mile per hour loss is enough for a hitter to catch up to it when they're used to you throwing harder. Or if you're still throwing with the same velocity, but you lose the movement on the fastball, they're going to crush you.
Yep.
That's just baseball today. Everybody's gearing up for the fastball. Just what it is. The rest of what he had to say was, as far as the Dodgers having one of the best track records of player development, yeah, they have some good players, but I don't know if players are going to want to sign with the Dodgers for the same type of money that the Braves have been signing their players to, because you have a Mookie Betts on your team. You now have a Shohei Ohtani on your team. Remember that whole drama with Freeman and the Atlanta Braves, and how the agent didn't bring the offer or whatever, and then they signed an aging Freeman to a whole bunch of money by the standards of that time when they signed Freeman. So I don't think that players are going to be thinking, hey, I'm going to sit down with the Dodgers and then sign a 7-year, $85 million contract. No, I don't think that people are considering the Dodgers and will want to accept the contract that the players in Atlanta have accepted under the promise. Hey, we're going to be disgusting for 7 straight years. We're going to the division series, the World Series. We got this 7-player core of young, talented players that are just getting better, who took less to stay with us. No, I don't think the Dodgers are gonna attract those kinds of players.
No. I think the Dodgers is one of the most well-run organizations, right? They just are. They're extremely good. I'll give him that. But it's weird because people think I'm not trying to say we hate the player. I like the player.
No. We're just talking straight money.
We're just talking the money, and that's where I think people let their emotionality get into it. I'm like, shit. I mean, if they paid David Ortiz, just because I'm a Red Sox fan, they paid him like at the time like 50-60 million. I'm like, yo, you're smoking crack. Like, what? What are you doing? Right? Just being honest. He's a legend, but you'd have to think like, well, is the money really worth it? And that's the honest to God question. The next comment here was.
I want to tag along before we move on. I want to tag along. I want to tag along what you just said. You're talking about a player that has retired.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How about I talk to you about a player that's actually on my roster that I actually like, and Pete Alonso?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If the Mets sign him to a $30 million a year contract, okay, I'll eat that. I won't be too happy with it, but $30 million a year, 35 most, right?
Yeah.
Do I see Pete Alonso at a non-premium defensive position at first base, even though he plays a damn good first base?
Yeah.
Do I think that I really want a player who struggles to hit 200? Look at his numbers this past year. That batting average, man, was painful. It was painful to watch him chase curveballs and sliders low and off the plate. practically in the left-hand batter's box and him keep swinging and swinging and chasing and chasing.
Yeah.
Would I be happy if the Mets signed him to a $45 million, $50 million a year contract? Hell no.
No.
And that's a current player who's got more home runs in 5 years than Ohtani has in 6 years.
All right. So next subject, because we're kind of going long here.
So
Yankees.
this is what we're gonna do, Cap. We're gonna turn this into the next episode of TSP. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay. After the Yankees 2-8-6-4. After last season, Blue Jay fans are very quickly rising on the most hated teams, right behind Houston and Boston. Can you guys just shut up? Okay, first off, you're a fucking idiot. Secondly, you're a fucking moron. Where did we say we were Blue Jay fans? What? I'm absolutely bamboozled with that comment. I'm like, wow. I mean, the public education system is definitely failing us. Like, where in the fuck do I have a Blue Jays hat on? Did he have a Blue Jay? He had a Mets hat. Like, are you that fucking stupid? Listen, I usually don't like the roast fan. Where did Blue Jays? Because we mentioned Drake because that was the big thing. Like,
we were laughing at Drake.
So. Yeah,
dude, I saw an article that somebody immediately put out because Drake put on his Narsagram an image of him wearing an Ohtani jersey, and people were like, the Drake curse. And there was reports that he had signed with the Blue Jays, and it was like, so that plane going to Toronto actually didn't have Ohtani on it. I
fucking idiot.
At that shit.
They had the guy from Shark Tank, the Canadian guy from Shark Tank.
I heard that.
So I'm just like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah. So and here's another thing. You hate Boston because you're a Yankees fan. Okay, we know why. Houston, don't give me that Houston shit. Do you want to know why? And I'm really excited to bring this up, Cap. Everybody hates the Houston Astros for doing what in 2017? Banging on them garbage cans, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, people? Guess who ran that cheating scam first with Carlos Beltran?
Yep.
The New York Yankees. The New York Yankees used that cheat in 2015 and 2016 and got caught for it.
Yep.
Only they were still not good enough to win the World Series, even with Carlos Beltran's cheats.
That's
I don't want to hear nothing from Yankee fans about the cheating ass Astros. Carlos Beltran is the problem, not the Houston Astros. They only get hate because they actually won the last game of the year, unlike the Yankees. So let's not go there.
So next comment here from HKF Doydell 853. I mean, interesting gamer tag. Interesting screen name. I don't think it's a stupid contract, especially if you're the greatest pitcher and hitter in the league, which we can get into that. If I was Ohtani, moving to a better Los Angeles team for more money, I guess, a better shot at the playoffs, and is literally in the same state, it's a win-win. Not to mention, Ohtani deferred some of his money of the contract to the Dodgers, so the Dodgers could get some pitchers. Lastly, the Dodgers are hella rich, so I don't believe it would have an effect on the MLB. Now, we've already talked about the deferred money. We're not going to go into that repeatedly. It is pointless.
And this is a decent,
This is a decent one. This is where I want to, like...
I still think he's incorrect because he missed the point, but...
Is Ohtani the best pitcher and hitter in the league?
Yes. Pitcher and hitter.
No,
pitcher
separately.
And hitter.
So... No, separately. I get what you're saying.
But separately, I wanted to go there too, and I knew you was going there, Cap. But is he the best pitcher in the league? Hell no. That goes to Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Even after they took away the sticky stuff, Garrett Cole is still, like, fooling the shit out of people.
Yeah. I mean, because, Trevor Bauer
they've talked about the spin rates. They talk about his mechanics and how his mechanics when throwing the fastball looks almost exactly as the mechanics when he throws the curveball. So you really don't know. You have like a 0.17 second decision-making window before from the time where the path of the baseball deviates from the fastball path if it's a curveball. So Garrett Cole is still able to, do his thing. He's nasty. Verlander, Probably won't be as nasty this coming year, but he's still up there. Who am I missing? Who's like really great right now on the pitcher side?
So
Snell is
yeah,
inconsistent.
yes, you got Snell, you got Webb from Sanford. I mean, let's be
Yeah,
like,
he's okay.
you can
He's
go
not as
through
good
the
as
war.
Ohtani, I don't think.
You can go through the war and stuff like Gray. Let's see.
Gray is not as good as Ohtani in my opinion.
No,
as a
he's
pitcher.
not. No, as a pitcher, I agree with you. But I mean, if you're gonna go by wins, which I know some people hate, you can do this wins. I mean, Strider had 20 wins last season.
Spencer Strider is a better pitcher than Ohtani.
Gallen had
I
17.
know I get fucking destroyed by him. every
Bassett
year.
16. Like it's just you have some really good pitchers in the league.
was number
I
two?
think number 2 was Gallen for Arizona, the Diamondbacks, 17.
I think the jury is still out on whether he is really that guy. We'll see
Yeah.
this year.
We'll see this year because we've all seen pitchers have like fantastic years and then they'll kind of fall off.
What was his ERA and number of innings pitched?
I'd have to click on that really quick.
Because remember, the Diamondbacks barely, was barely above.
His
500.
ERA was 3.86. So
That's too close to 4 for me to be like,
yeah, I agree.
because
with
even
you.
at 301, I still think that Otani's ERA just a tad bit high. You got a lot of guys that are in that 2.2 range, that 2.2 to 2.6 range.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
know if Otani's going back there in 2025.
so if you want to do WAR for pitchers, because that's what everyone likes to use that metric now, Otani's not even in the top 10 for pitchers. Now I know
So
you missed
run it
some
down.
time.
Run down the top 10, Cap.
Cole, Snell, Webb, Gray, Bradish, Senga, Gallion, Wheeler, Montgomery, and Luzerato from Miami.
Okay, so Senga's one of my guys.
Yeah.
Senga had a lot of control problems because he was having trouble adjusting to the MLB baseball. Apparently, the baseballs are grippier and the seams in the baseball rise a little bit more in Japan. So he was having a lot of trouble with command. And there were some times later on in the season where he still kind of struggled a little bit. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think that Senga's a better pitcher in the Major League Baseball than Ohtani.
Oof. I wouldn't. I actually disagree with you there, but
Only because I've seen what Senga brings after. Because remember, he had a lot of control problems very early on in the year. His ERA actually blew up kind of high, and then he still ended with an ERA under 3.
yeah,
For the
2.98.
year. And we're talking about a year in which he was transitioning from the Japanese baseball to the MLB's baseball. I suspect that he'll have a 2.5 ERA somewhere in 2024. I think Senga is going to improve his ERA this upcoming year.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I still think I would take Ohtani over him right now, though. I would
As a
say
pitcher?
that until
Okay.
as a pitcher, I would take Ohtani just because Ohtani does have a better body of work. Now, I will argue the other surgery does kind of put that into because he's not going to pitch this year, and that's another conversation. Like he's also going to be knocking off Russ for not pitching. But I mean, I think Ohtani's like you. If you say he's the best player in the league, I'm not mad at you. I just
he's the
don't
best
think
player in
if
the
you're going to
league,
put him in isolation, best batter, don't say that. The best pitcher, I don't say that either. I think he's just such a well-rounded player and he's so dangerous. Because even if you go into the batting, right, because that's where a lot of people like want to talk about, like, oh, let's talk about his average. I mean, he had a decent average last season. He had 304, which I think was the highest of his career.
His highest of his career.
Right, but you have Alvarez with 354, Acuna with 337, Freeman with 331, Diaz with 330, Seager with 327. I mind you, these are like the top 5 guys, like amazing
And
batting
Arez,
average.
He's a singles hitter, but he was flirting with 400 last year.
Yeah, I know. For a long time in the
For
season,
a
it was
long
kind of
time
crazy.
until you got into a little bit of a slump, which for him is like 2 for 6 is a slump in a game for him. 2 for 7 over.
You could you could argue when his speed starts going, he'll probably not be the same guy, but exciting player to watch last season.
Infield hits too.
Yeah.
Right.
So home runs, is he the best power hitter? No. Like Olsen had 54, Schwarber had 47, Alonso had 46,
Schwarber
Ohtani had 40.
45.
Every time he hit the ball, it went out the park. So,
Yeah,
but
Schwarber had 50. How many hit? How many did he have?
47.
Yeah, he had a zero. He had a 0.047 batting average, and every single one of his hits were a home run. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, the dude batted under 200. Like, God damn.
damn. But
At the leadoff position.
I'm just talking purely power. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like fucking like. I mean, he's below the Mendoza line. I'm not saying he's. If you're gonna say overall hitter, I mean, yeah, no shit, it's Otani. But
Right.
I think that's the thing with Otani is he's such like he's an MVP player. I'm not knocking him. I think as an overall package, he's the best player in the MLB. But even if you say he's the best player in the MLB as an overall package, it's still it's a very rich price to pay.
Right.
70 million. So I mean,
Yeah.
anything else to add on to that?
Yeah.
Or?
So the last part here is we're not worried about the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers have a lot of money. The consortium that bought them are a bunch of fucking venture capital plus mega rich celebrity and a dude that is like the only person. This is a joke to survive HIV.
God.
And Magic Johnson, right?
Is
'Cause
Johnson
they
is
only giving
magic?
that cure to the super rich, man. I'm just saying, at least in the United States.
Yeah.
We're not worried about the Dodgers hurting for money. What we're talking about here, there's two things that I have an issue with. Number one, the effect on the whole league, because not every player is going to sign with the Dodgers, but they are still going to use this contract as the starting point of whether they should get the $10 million a year they probably actually deserve in the market and the $27 million a year that they're going to ask for.
Yeah.
Right. So, and they're going to be asking for these dollar amounts from other teams, not the Dodgers. The Dodgers only have a 26-man roster at the major league level, and 40 players on the 40-man roster. Right.
Yeah.
There's only but so many roster spots. In fact, earlier today, they traded two of the guys on their 40-man roster to the Yankees so that they could fit Otani on their 40-man. So, not every player can play for the Dodgers. So, again, the effect on the MLB, the Dodgers aren't the only team in baseball. Because if they were, no one would give a fuck. It would just be people who know how to play baseball that just be given money and there are no games to play. But there are other teams in the league, and those players will also have demands. And unless Alonso and Soto and Bellinger and all these other guys, unless all of them are going to sign with the Dodgers, it hurts Major League Baseball in the long run, where we're just now getting people back. We had a plus 9% attendance rate around Major League Baseball, and people said the rule changes, everybody fully getting out of the Rona lockdown mindset and wanting to be outside.
Yeah.
Do you know what will chase people out the stadium? $50 parking and $250, $300 tickets on a Wednesday evening against the fucking Oakland Athletics.
$13 hot dogs. Just like
no, like some places are already beyond that.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean,
do you
Dodger
remember
dogs,
the burgers that we ate when I brought you there?
Yeah.
Those burgers were like at Citi Field. Dry ass hamburgers were like $15 and change.
Bro, fuck that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, the TV contracts are not coming anymore, y'all. Guess where that money's gonna come from eventually? Could you imagine being a Dodgers fan in 2040? And you're like, why is this guy making $68 million on our team and he retired, freaking 5 years ago? Why is this guy making all this money? And you're going to be like, oh, that's what they were doing in them dumb old days of 2023.
So let's go into the next comment.
Yeah, let's go into the next one. This one is just kind of funny. We're just going to put it up on the screen.
So,
we're not even going to say anything. We're just going to just let you look at it. Like...
This is the one thing, though. This is the one comment I'll say. You can't insult us or get mad at us. It's not that we can't take criticism. I'll just say it, bro. Okay, we're trolling the dude. We're trolling the dude back. Come on, son. Like you can't be that dense. Anyway,
I'm an asshole. When you see DEG on the response. That's me, Doctor Evil Genius, right? You
Yeah.
know, he'll write out his whole name because if you make a if you turn
Yeah,
it
we
into initials,
yeah,
it
let's
looks
not
like
do that.
something very not good.
So,
Um, yeah,
let's
Y-
not get demonetized here. Let's
yeah.
next one with Bud.
Yeah, let's go to Bud.
Look at these
This loser.
first off, you failed English, my friend. That's fucking pitiful. Complaining because he didn't sign with his team.
Wait, first of all, there's two of us here. I don't know if like your double vision kind of makes us look like there's a black guy and a white guy here. There's two
I
different
mean, I think
people.
that's a borderline racist. Maybe he didn't see you because you're black. You know, that's kind of
Maybe
a
he didn't see
borderline.
you because you're transparent.
That's fair. That's a fair. You know what though? That's a fair statement. I'm not even gonna fight it. So
You're like, yo, who is this fucking headless guy with with a this guy with no head
yeah,
has a
why
floating Boston Bruins hat on.
what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, what's happening here?
The
But
funny.
yeah, yeah. So let's pretend he's not an idiot. Okay, I know that this. I know
That's
I'm
difficult.
really pushing the fourth wall here. Okay, that a suspension of disbelief, like really pushing it here. Let's say
Hmm.
he's not an idiot. Okay. Um, and he said these guys didn't sign with their team. Let's say he right. We're gonna drop this to you first, Cap. If the if the Boston Red Sox were in on Otani, knowing everything you know, what would be your opinion? Would you want him on your team?
No,
If so,
no,
okay, so no, right? Okay.
no fucking.
Is there
Why
a
the
price where you would accept him signing with your team? At what AAV or
55,
total contract?
55,
55 million? Okay.
55 million? Because
So if the
first,
if the Red Sox say we want Shohei Otani injured or not, we'll give him $55 million a year. You're on board.
because I'm hoping he can be even 3/4, right, 80% maybe of the pitcher he was when he eventually comes back. And
Hmm.
you know what was the highest AAV? What was it? 3.34, right? I mean 43.
No, it's
Excuse me.
43.3.
43.3. So I could justify him being like 10 million over that. But there is a
Right.
fear. There's a fear factor. Like we don't know, right? And we
Right.
here in Boston love our DHs. So listen, I'm all about getting them DHs paid. But that's where I'd be comfortable because once you start going there, it's like the Dodgers are paying him like he's playing two positions, which the first year he's not going to be. So, 55 is pretty much my hard line. If we wanted Otani, if it went over anything over that, it's like Fenway tickets are already fucking expensive. Why? So I can watch him play and hope he doesn't get dinged up with a shitty roster around him. We'd just be like the Boston Angels. So one player is not going to solve the Red Sox issues. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad at Otani. Like who I really wanted to target, not to make this a baseball complete video, is Yamamoto. Like that's what the Red Sox needs pitching. And I know Otani is a pitcher hitter, but like he's not going to be pitching this year. And the second Tommy John does kind of scare me. I'll fully admit
Right.
that. You know.
Okay.
As for you, what are you about? You Mets, you've been kind of public about this. Did you want to
Okay.
spend another, huge dollar? I mean, would you pay the 70?
No. No. So, just like you, I did not want him on my team. Um, for actually two reasons. One, I really didn't like how he handled the whole free agency, and you need to be super secretive, and I'm going to try to garner as much attention as possible. And Soto is about to do the same thing. I don't really like that very much. I think
Hmm.
that guys should just negotiate with the teams, um, make the decision, move on. So
Yeah.
I don't think that he really handled this very well. And he apologized for doing so, so I'm not salty about that anymore. Because he made the apology. He knows how selfish that made him look, I think.
Yeah.
But as a baseball player, do I want him on my team? No, I don't want him on my team, because I think that the Mets have given enough contracts to players that don't really want to be associated with the organization and will only do so for exorbitant, unintelligent amounts of money. I was not happy with the Scherzer deal. I was not happy with the Verlander deal. way back when, and if the Mets signed him to a 10-year, $700 million contract, deferred or not. I don't want another Bobby Bonilla situation here.
Come on,
We
bro.
just don't.
That's a fucking national holiday. That's the only thing. That's
Yeah,
a
I
beautiful
know,
thing.
right?
I mean, what about 55 mil? What was it? What if it?
If the number was right, what would be the proper number?
Yeah.
I would love to get him at $45 million a season because that's $5 million over Aaron Judge.
Okay.
Would I accept 50? Yes. Would I accept 55 like you? Yes. Would I accept a $60 million AAV? Yes.
Ooh. Okay.
If he didn't have the UCL plus the oblique injury, because remember, the oblique injury is what ended his season. It was not the ulnar collateral ligament tear. And remember, I don't know if guys really know what the Tommy John surgery is, but they basically take connective tissue from somewhere else in the body or a cadaver, and then they use that to replace portions that they basically cut away to clean up the area.
Yeah.
This is the second time, which means that the donor ligament either didn't take or he's putting so much strain on his arm that his particular mechanics cannot be relied on long term.
Yep.
So I look at Jacob deGrom, what the Mets went through with him the last 3 years that he was with the team. I look at, Verlander as like really the outlier. There's really been nobody that has come back from 2 TJs and then been worth, if we cut Ohtani in half, let's say he was 2 baseball players that were worth $35 million a year.
Yeah.
Okay? If he was a $35 million hitter, a $35 million pitcher, we have not seen a guy come back with the exception of Verlander. And Verlander was probably a $25 million pitcher because he spent more time on the injured list to start the season with the Mets.
Yeah.
So I've not seen a pitcher actually come out and after TJ, 2 TJs, pitch at a $35 million a year level. So for that reason, I'm going to have to say no.
Okay. So we'll go into one of our last comment actually. Dan.
We have several. We have several.
Well, oh shit, yeah, you do.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So Dan Vladar lover, Dan Vladar, she's a Calgary Flame fan here. That's a good, interesting to see. As a Blue Jays fan, I was sad that Shohei signed with the Dodgers until I saw how much the contract was worth. Yeah,
that is exactly my opinion. Yeah. I'm like, wow. Like the first thing I thought is he's going to LA. He chose the LA Dodgers, right? Because when he announced it, he didn't talk about the money. So I'm like, wow. I'm not a Dodgers fan, but now I would look at them the way that I looked at the Golden State Warriors or the LA Lakers or the Miami Heat in 2010, where it's like, okay, I'm not a fan of that team, but now I can watch a really entertaining team play. So I'm more interested in watching a team that's not my team. That was my first thought. And then I saw the money. And then I was like,
yeah. Too much.
Nope. And so the Blue Jays are actually lucking out here. I was kind of hoping he would sign with the Blue Jays and that they would just kind of fade into obscurity. But then I thought, like, well, they do have a young core of the sons of former Major League Baseball players. Dante Bichette's son is there. Vlad Guerrero's son was there. Is Craig Biggio's son still there?
It might be. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's just going to be very interesting. I think the Blue Jays dodged a bullet.
Yeah, they did.
I just think they dodged a bullet because I think they have a very good young team, very good team. So, all right, let's go. You want to go to the next comment?
Wait, if the Dodgers do get hit by the bullet, I'm not going to be worried about them for the same reason that a lot of people have been saying in the comments is that it's the fucking Dodgers. Like, Los Angeles, California is known for throwing away money frivolously. They will survive. I'm not worried.
I'm not worried about the ownership group. They make a ton of money.
Yeah.
So Chris Adair comments, hearing how bitter this Mets fan, you bitter motherfucker, is almost sad. Dude is trying his hardest to cope with the Mets being a failure. LOL. Well, I
Oh
mean,
my god.
goddamn, he came at your throat. He's like,
Yeah,
goddamn,
man. I mean,
fuck this guy.
but the thing is, I'm low hanging fruit, man. I'm a Mets fan. Like I'm low hanging fruit. Like I've been made fun of for being a Mets fan for what 30 years now. Like
I
the
mean,
last time the Mets won the World Series, I was 3 and I knew nothing about baseball. Okay,
so I
the
mean,
last time the last time I know this is gonna kind of go in a dark direction, but I just want to drive home the point. The last time the Mets won the World Series, I was in a foster home at age 3 because I was a victim of extreme child abuse. That's what was
well,
going on the last time the Mets won the World Series. You see all this gray in my beard?
damn,
That was a
that's
long time ago. So, Chris,
that got
hey,
dark.
Chris, man, I am mad at you, man. I am mad at you. But the thing is, I don't care that Otani got the money because if Major League Baseball, if Major League Baseball was still growing as a sport the way hockey is right now, the way the NBA is growing right now, if the MLB was not in decline, because baseball is a sport that I love. Okay, I love Major League Baseball. Um, Hockey is really trying to vie for the title, though, Cap. But
Yeah, I mean, it's a good
um,
sport.
but man, the thing is, people say the game is too slow. They complain about pitchers being subbed in and out. And there's a bunch of things about baseball, new age baseball, that I don't like, where pitchers only pitch 4 2/3 innings and all of that. Yeah. However, um, I'm not mad at where he went. I could be mad if Yamamoto goes and follows him after that because the Mets have been fucking kissing his ass with the fucking multi-billionaire owner going to Japan to meet with him.
Yeah,
If the Dodgers end up signing Yamamoto away from the Mets, I think I'd be kind of salty then, right?
yeah,
But that's because I want the Mets to kind of pair Yamamoto with Senga. In fact, Senga was petitioning Yamamoto to come join the Mets because of the way the Mets treated him so well as an organization. But the thing is, the Mets are not a failure because they didn't pay an injured pitcher $70 million a year.
yeah.
I would say the
So
Mets are a failure because they signed Mo Vaughn at the end of his contract. They gave Jeremy Burnitz a shitty contract. They gave Bobby Bonilla a shitty contract. They gave Jason Bay what was then a crazy fucking contract after he had one good year for Boston.
yeah,
How many other shitty Johan Santana, even though he did get a no-hitter for us, but I think he walked like 16 batters to get there and then tore up his arm in that game. It was never the same after that no-hitter. Who else did the Mets sign that everybody was like, LOL Mets?
yeah.
Scherzer, Verlander, the whole shit with DeGrom.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons to make fun of the Mets.
So,
Beltran looking at strike 3 in the NLCS in 2006 versus the St. Louis Cardinals. A fat ass hanging curveball down the middle. Season's over.
yeah.
There's a lot to make fun of us Mets fans for. Not this, buddy.
So this will be
Because
the
this is a
next.
bad contract for baseball, not for the Mets.
So okay, next comment here. Lipo. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'll
That's
take this
fucking
one.
Leo. Laugh my fucking. Oh, you take this one. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take this one. LMFAO. This is an absolute clown take, fellas. At least he could fucking distinguish that there are two of us here, right?
Well, that's
As
appreciate
soon
it.
as you started saying that he only hits a little bit above 300 batting average, so he goes back to the dugout with an out 69% of the time. So he's an upper end. I hate it when you say batter. It's upper end hitter, upper end batter. I knew you were coping hard. He had an OPS plus of 184, which was first in the league, and 14 points against the next highest. LOL. He is arguably the best hitter in the league, so I have no idea why you're harping on his batting average when it's already elite and he absolutely nukes the ball. The
What?
Mets signed 37-year-old dead arm Scherzer to a 3-year average of $43 million AAV contract and will be paying DeGrom $53 million in deferrals until 3039. That's actually not true. That's the Texas Rangers. But anyway,
Yeah.
so to hear you talking about the Otani contract being ridiculously high value because he's an injury-prone pitcher is hilarious. But yeah, I don't really want to hear about how contract inflation will ruin the league from a Mets fan. Incredibly ironic. So let me take this bit by bit, okay? Hits a little bit above 300. That is the reality. And that is actually the best showing of his career. So
Correct.
if we really want to break it down, he will sit down 72.6% of the time, not 69% of the time. Okay. He is an upper end, he is a higher level hitter. The OPS plus is 184, which is almost twice as good as the average hitter, which is cool. The thing is that he's not making almost twice as much as the average hitter. He is blowing them away by factors in the payment. Okay. So when you're talking, so yes, he is one of the better hitters, but he only will show up 4 or 5 times a game like the rest of his teammates. Okay. I would go and venture that he will probably not beat Mookie Betts in offensive numbers on the Dodgers. Mookie Betts is going to beat Otani in offensive numbers in 2024. That's my
So I know this is late in the show, but whatever. So when this guy watched this, let's look at the batting average. 304 last season, 44 homers. What is this here for career? I'm confused. What is that career batting average? Can you read that? Is that 274?
.274.
Okay.
Which means he gets a hit in his career 27.4% of the time. So he makes an out. What percentage of the time, Cap, if you do the math?
Over 70%.
72.6% of the time.
So like let's do it here. All right. So Otani comes into the league, 285 batting average, 22 home runs, right? Mm-hmm. That's 104 games. What's up?
I got to use the same disclaimer that you used earlier. We are not saying that Otani is a bad player. What Cap is doing with these numbers is comparing them against a $70 million average annual value. We are trying to establish a reference point here. This is not to say that Otani is not one of the best in the league. Continue on, Cap.
So this is the thing, right? I'm going to even zoom it in so you motherfuckers can read it, right? 285 batting average first year, 104 games played, 22 home runs. That's a really good rookie season, right? Very good rookie season. Second year, 286, steady around a 285, 286 hitter, 18 home runs, right? This was the Rona shortened season.
That was
hit 190, 7 home runs, 44. And I'm not going to really put that into account. He's not a below 200 hitter. That's just because of everything that was going on in the world, right? Yeah,
that was rough.
Year after that, he hit 257, right, with 46 home runs. So he did develop pop, lost a little bit of the contact, and he had the highest RBIs to date, which on the Angels should probably be 140. Really good, right? So I'm going to give his due. A fantastic season.
He was caught stealing 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, my man was getting caught. He was running those fucking bases. 273 batting average the year following that, and 34 home runs. Like solid pop, 12 less home runs, 273 batting average. His most complete year as a hitter was last year. 304 batting average, 44 home runs, 95 RPIs. I argue if he was on a better team, he'd probably have like 130, 140 RPIs. Look at the OPS. Like 1.006, like that's a fantastic OPS, right?
You know what pisses me off in defense of Otani? You know what pisses me off?
What's that?
An elite. I mean, Ted Williams would probably laugh at this, but his on-base percentage was .412 and only scored 102 runs because of that shitty ass team.
But it's
damn.
So and this is
awful.
And this is where
let's look at his wait before you go to pitching. Let's look at his career in the playoffs.
Okay, playoffs. Let me go. Well, the Angels don't make the playoffs.
Oh wow! So what you're telling me, Cap? What you're telling me is that we don't even know if he's a big game pitcher yet, because we haven't seen him in the postseason yet.
I'll be fair to him though. You know,
I
you're
know
on
it's
the
not all his
Angels.
fault,
You know, it's
but you know what
Angels.
it proves, Cap? One player does not a World Series make. One player is not going to be the difference between you. Again, hey, I'm going to defer almost all the money because I know that I'm not enough to win a World Series.
Yeah,
So
I
if you
mean,
look at the guys that got the money that they got, the Scherzers, the Verlanders, why do you think they got even the $43 million they got? Because
yeah.
of their track record in the postseason. So we
So
don't know if he's a big game pitcher or hitter. We don't know that yet because we have
so
never seen it before. And we don't know what kind of pitcher he is going to be after a second Tommy John. But he gets $280 million more than the last record? That's crazy. There's no way to justify that, Cap.
So let's go to the pitching. Sorry. Okay. First rookie year, 4-2. How many games did it actually be? No, 10 games. A 3.31 ERA. I mean, that's not terrible, right? Didn't pitch in 2019, 2020. Only played 2 games. A 37.8. I mean, that's that's just 2
Oh,
games,
that's
right?
right. He had the Tommy John.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he didn't really pitch there either. So then
2020. Oh, that was
2020.
a rough year for your boy.
21, this is where he actually pitches over 20 games, 23 games pitched, 9-2 record, a 3.18 ERA. I mean, these are solid numbers. Where are the strikeouts? Strikeout per 9 for him in that year was 10.8. Really good, really
Yeah,
good
that's
strikeout
good.
per 9. So then you'll
Yeah.
go the next year, right?
Wait, in 2020 it was 16.2, but he didn't really pitch that much.
Yeah, I mean that's highly inflated. It's
Yeah,
2
he
games.
had
He only had
how many
1.2
Ks?
innings. 1.2 innings. So
I'm looking for Ks. Where's the Ks?
he had 3.
He only pitched one. Oh, so he got 3 strikeouts. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why it's
yeah,
inflated.
yeah. So that inflated the numbers. I mean, it's still good numbers, but he
Yeah, I
also
mean, but
walked
it's
a shit
one
ton.
and one
I
and
mean,
2/3.
eight walks in 1.2 innings. God damn,
It was
that was a rough outing. I think.
Yeah, that's
I think
like
no, that was 2 games.
yeah, that,
Oh, that was 2 games he started.
yeah.
So
So that was
yeah, they shut him down after that.
no, I think he came in relief because it was innings pitched was only 1.2.
No, but it was 2 games started. So he got knocked out early in both of the starts.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's rough.
But
8 walks in less than 2. God damn.
that's
But
some Matsuzaka.
he did K3.
I mean, that's some Matsuzaka type stats.
Ouch.
So 2022, 15-9
That was
record, a 2.33 ERA, 28 games. I mean, that in my opinion is probably his best year as a pitcher.
Yeah, because he had 166 innings.
Yeah, I mean, and he had
222
11.9 at 11.9 strikeout per 9, and he was really a really dynamic. How many strikeouts did he
I
have?
also like the
219.
0.8 home runs per 9 because
Yep.
man, I hate to see home runs leaving the park. I hate to see it. So he keeps the home runs down relatively. That's not so bad. I don't have a problem with that.
So and then last year,
he keeps that whip down, which keeps base runners off the bases, which limits damage. So these
last
are all good numbers.
so last year in 23 games, 10-5 record, a 3.14 ERA, not bad. He had 167 strikeouts. It was 11.4 for strikeout per 9. He, 1.2 home runs per 9. That's not bad at all. I mean, when I'm looking at his pitching numbers throughout his career, right? 38 wins, 19 losses, a 3.01 ERA. His strikeout per 9, 11.4, really fucking good. And his strikeouts is 608. I think he's he's when he's on and healthy, he's one of the better pitchers in the league. But I don't look at this and automatically think like the best pitcher in baseball, do you?
No, he's not the best pitcher in baseball.
Right, and that's where a lot of my argument stems from. Some people are going to hate me. They're like, "Oh, you hate Ohtani." I still think he's like the best overall player.
Yeah, but this is in reference. This is in reference to the salary given, right? Like when you make by far the highest salary in the history of North American sports, you are going to get a little bit more scrutiny. Here's a stat that they don't want to talk about, Cap.
What's
Okay.
that?
He just got a $700 million contract. Did you know that the contract total value for him over 10 years is equal to
Mm,
the net worth of the owner of the Colorado Rockies?
that is insanity. Um, so this is something I kind of wanted to show. Now, obviously, some of this is like high school, right? For his Japanese career, when he's over in Japan, it's look how many innings pitched in just like before. I'm trying to find just for the NPL. So in the inning NPL, he had over 543 innings pitched, and this is before the age of 23. Like they utilized the crap out of him when he was like 18, 19. Like look at these numbers,
Yeah,
innings
because
pitched.
nobody knew, that he was going to be what he ended up being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
You
just
use
it.
the pitchers that are in front of you. He's a talented pitcher. You use him. You know?
Yeah, but like this is where it goes to the discussion though, and this is what I was talking about with the Japanese is that when you're over there in that system, they're just gonna use you, right? Like they're gonna use you like a workhorse, and that's the mentality over there. Like it's not rare. I wish they had pitches thrown. Like they to have 120, 130 um, balls thrown in a game for them. It's really not out of the realm of possibility. Right. And
Right.
that's
That is
where the
true.
wear and tear, and this is where the wear and tear starts to begin. Now, you could argue, I think sometimes we baby our pitchers a bit too much over here.
Yeah, but also
So,
the way we teach pitching mechanics puts a lot of strain on their elbow in ways that are not natural for the kind of G forces on the elbow. They're just not the way the human arm is designed.
yeah.
Just the way it is.
No, you're absolutely right. So, let's go into the last comment here. Do you want to read it?
I'm gonna get on there. But I just the last thing, talking about I don't really want to hear about. Oh wait, so let me go through the other part of it. You said the Mets signed a 37-year-old dead arm Scherzer to a 3-year deal. That is true. I hated the deal. And will be paying DeGrom $53 million in deferrals until 2039. Incorrect. Incorrect. Jacob DeGrom signed with the Texas Rangers and then promptly, proving my point, promptly got injured after what? 25 innings?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not going to be ready for opening day 2024. He
Yep.
says that that's his plan. He's not going to be ready. And the thing is, his arm does not like his mechanics. So either he's going to have to change his mechanics and be way less effective for the 30-something million a year that the Texas Rangers are going to be paying him, or he's going to continue to throw the way he's always been thrown, and then you're going to see his forearm separate from his elbow and flop on the ground in the infield, while everybody's scrambling to turn off the cameras on cable TV. His arm is going to separate from his body. Okay?
So,
And the Mets didn't sign him. And the thing is, the Mets front office was mad because DeGrom went and signed that contract with the Texas Rangers without coming back. The Mets were going to do that dumb shit. And
yeah.
I'm glad he didn't get the opportunity to.
So, and this is the one thing I want to like his last little segment of his comment saying,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't really want to hear about how bad contract inflation will ruin the league from a Mets fan. Incredibly ironic. So, I'd have to argue, wouldn't you,
I
as a
have to
Mets
agree with
fan, be more experienced to realize how stupid some of these contracts can get?
Right,
So you should kind
exactly.
of avoid it.
But that's why I half agree with him, right? Like, I don't totally agree with him because we have Uncle Steve, which is the richest owner in North American sports right now. So if the Mets wanted to sign Ohtani to a $1 billion contract, who was going to stop him, right?
Yeah.
I would still have a problem with it because Ohtani is not a $1 billion player. He is not a $100 million a year player. He's not a $90 million a year player. He's not a $70 million a year player. I would be more comfortable at $55 million a year. $550 million over 10 years. I would have been way more comfortable with that than what he got. And I'm not saying that I'm mad he got the money. I'm mad at what that means for salary inflation going forward.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a league, then where are you going to get the money from? We still need to have a league.
Yeah, I mean, pretty pretty common sense. So let's get
Okay,
into
so you want to take the last comment, or
yeah, let me go into this last
because
comment
actually
here.
I'm the one he was talking to me because I was talking about the Soto trade and how bad it was.
So you lost me at 10:30ish when you said that the New York Yankees made a terrible trade to get Soto. 2 years of King, a decent prospect, and a 33-year-old catcher. The Yankees have a bunch more, by the way. Were the centerpieces of the deal. 1 year of Soto with a chance to convince him that it's good being a Yankee fan is definitely worth it. I mean, sorry, being a Yankee fan, definitely being a Yankee is definitely worth it. This sounds like copium and saltiness more than an educated take. I want to say something though before you even have to. If you have
Okay.
to convince a ball player, right,
To play for the Yankees.
you play for the Yankees, like you're not the fucking Kansas City Royals. Shut the fuck up. That sounds like copium to me. Right? Like that sounds like someone trying to copy like, "Oh, well, he didn't get extended, but we got to prove it to him." You're the New York fucking Yankees. One of the most one of the biggest franchises in the world. This is coming from Red Sox, one of the biggest franchises in the world. And you need to convince Soto? That sounds like some pretty fucking strong copium myself. I like, come on,
Yeah,
bud.
yeah, that's yeah. So I'm gonna take this bit by bit, like, because you actually, yeah. So uh yeah, 2 years of King. From what I hear, King is a high level, and he actually performed well at the major league level. Okay. Well, they actually traded three good pitching prospects. And a 33-year-old catcher. Yeah, I know, but the thing is that 33-year-old catcher is a catcher that has been in your organization for 15 years, who was, by all accounts, a fan favorite. That does carry weight with the fan base. Getting rid of one of your beloved players, whether he's higher, an upper echelon player or not, usually doesn't sit well with fans for a rental. I'll give you an example. A stupid ass trade the New York Mets made. Do you remember the Javi Baez trade?
I do
I do.
actually. Yeah, I do. I
Okay.
do.
Not only was he trying to shit on the fans during the games with his whole thumbs down because he played like shit when he came over from the Cubs. Guess who the Mets gave up to get him? PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong, who is going to be the best defensive outfielder in the entire sport.
Yeah.
That we gave him up for 2 months of Javi Baez.
Yep.
It's a problem.
Yep.
Okay? So 1 year of Soto with a chance to convince you're the New York Yankees. Who do you have to convince? If you have to convince somebody, you're admitting that there's something wrong with that team. And from the way that I've heard Brian Cashman talk about his own players in the press, there is problems in the Bronx right now.
Yeah.
And Yankee fans are not happy. I know a few. They're not happy. Okay? Anytime the Yankees don't win the World Series because they're a bunch of fucking spoiled brats, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
So when you have Stanton, who could, if he decided that he still wanted to be if Stanton decided that he wanted his soul to then join the New York Yankees, that motherfucker could hit 60 home runs this year. Stanton is still a masher if he wants to be. Right? So, it is not copium because I am worried about the health of the league. If Soto needs to be convinced, that means that he is grabbing a spiked dildo with no lube and he's going to shove it up that Yankee ass.
Yeah.
He's going to turn that sumbitch sideways after shining up real nice and stick it straight up your candy ass. That's what Soto's going to do. Soto is going to be like, oh, 70 million for a DH? Okay, I'm going to make that diving play. I'm going to steal that home run. I'm going to hit 4 home runs in a game 4 different times this year. I'm going to break the Barry Bonds record, and I'm going to do it clean. I don't know if you think this dude's going to hit, fucking 80 home runs and be like, oh, so that guy hit, 44 home runs? He hit 45 as a DH for the Dodgers. Okay, run me my one Billy. Me my one Billy. I want one Billy.
Yeah.
I want one William, motherfucker. Give me my William. $1 billion, 10 years, or go fuck yourself. And that's what I'm afraid of for the market. I don't care that Shohei got paid. If everybody thought about it rationally, you just said, hey, this is a special specimen and only he gets it because he's shown how durable he is and how much of a big game pitcher he is in the playoffs in the World Series, I would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
But there are too many questions unanswered and will not be answered until more than a year from now.
Yep.
And you gave this guy $70 million a year.
Yep.
I don't care that he got the money. Get your money. Believe me, I make a lot more money than people think I should be making for what I do professionally. However, I'm looking at what happened to Bally Sports and them going belly up. I'm looking at Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred admitting that they are going to be looking to change the way that they present the game to the fans because the cable television package ain't it no more. And that's what's been subsidizing these $15 to $35 million a year contracts. That's what's been subsidizing it. What do you think is coming next, my friends? What do you think is coming next? Do you think that with less TV rights deals, that the Dodgers are going to be like, we're just going to lose money for the hope of maybe winning one World Series in the next 10 years? No, they're going to dig in your pockets. And when everybody else's salary goes up and you get a platoon guy, a utility infielder asking for $18 to $25 million a year, well, we'll look at Shohei. Shohei got 70. I've got to be worth at least 20. If he's worth 70, I got to be at least 20.
Yeah.
It fucks everything up for everybody. As a matter of fact, we're going to put up this tweet right in front of you from Justin Turner, former LA Dodger. You think he's not looking? This is his tweet on December 9th. I believe JFK said, quote, "A rising tide lifts all boats," end quote. In that case, the boats are flying. For the record, I have a career 0.00 ERA, which is actually true. He has 1 innings pitched in his career where he gave up no runs. I think he gave up 2 hits. He gave up no runs for a pristine 0.00 ERA. He is a 38-year-old guy on his way out of the league. You don't think that he saw these numbers? That motherfucker's trying to get paid right now.
I mean,
That's what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of Shohei getting his money. I'm not afraid of Shohei playing in Japan, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, or the LA Dodgers. I don't give a fuck. Get your money wherever you can get it. I'm not mad at you. I'm worried about the system and the long-term viability of the league because what other revenue sources does Major League Baseball have? Now you got a player whose net worth now rivals the owners of teams.
Yeah.
And the only thing he's going to end up doing for most of his contract is DHing. Because they won't be a pitcher for too much longer. I'm calling that shit right now. I called it with Jacob deGrom when he signed with the Rangers. Because no, the Mets are not paying Jacob deGrom, what did he say?
Yeah, 50-something.
$53 million in the deferrals until 30-39. No, that's the Rangers. That's the Rangers.
Well, I mean, listen. I think it's soon going to be the Colorado Otanis. He's going to buy it out and kind of really bring baseball great again in the Colorado Rockies. Quite frankly, if Otani went to Colorado, I'll be honest with you now, he shouldn't pitch.
I think he might be. The Mets signed him to a sweetheart deal where he is. Actually, I think he's right. Actually, I think I'm wrong about that. I think he is getting deferred money from the Texas Rangers, but when he signed a hometown discount, where I think he was like pitching for like $26 million a year. Actually, I think he's right. I think. Well,
don't
right,
you? I think, that's right, because you're a stupid Mets fan. You fucking make me cringe.
Again, yeah, I think they are paying him a lot in deferrals for a pitcher that is fucking injured as fuck. Well, that was the last of the Will Pond era, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think also the Texas Rangers are paying a shitload in deferrals too. And the Mets are paying still a chunk of Scherzer's contract to pitch for other team, and Verlander's contract to pitch for another team, right? So you actually might be actually be right on that. But yeah, again, I'm not the one that signed these fucking contracts. If it was up to me, The Mets would not sign these stupid ass contracts. You act like, oh, I don't like the contract that my favorite team signed, so I'm gonna go be a fan of another team. That's not how it works.
I mean,
you act like us fans approve of every fucking contract. No, we just suffer through the torture of being led by a shitty front office every year.
yeah. So they have more than $50 million in deferment for when he signed the extension in 2019.
Right. My bad, Leo. You're actually right about that. So let me check myself on that one.
All right. Well, so listen.
But again, this is not something that we Mets fans actually approve of and look forward to. More losing and more big dollars given to players that are has-beens. So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the Mets have signed like 8 different players in the last 2 weeks. None of them of consequence. All of them are, hey, I used to be good 5 years ago. Oh, okay. I've got, an injury history. Shitty fucking players.
So I think long and short of it, because we're going to wrap this up. Long and short of it is the Mets. The Shohei Ohtani going to the Dodgers. I think that's good for the Dodgers fans. I think Ohtani's a fantastic ball player. I don't think either of us are saying he's not an MVP. That is
because they have to pay for it.
But he's still a fantastic ball player. We're not saying that. We just don't think he makes that. I don't think he's worth that much money. But I'd like to know, like down below, guys, you let us know in the comment section. Like, do you think he's worth the 70, or if he's not worth that, what do you think he's worth? Yeah, how much? How much money? So
that is going to be interesting, Cap, to see because I think that right now the odds that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series is at plus 500 right now.
Right.
They leapfrog the Atlanta Braves. You still got to play the games, right? And he's still going to only show up and bat 4 or 5 times a game. And he's going to go in the slumps like all players do. He's been through hitting slumps as well as pitching slumps.
Right.
He's had these kinds of problems because he's human just like everybody else. What happens when the Los Angeles Dodgers don't win the World Series? What happens when the Los Angeles Dodgers get eliminated in the wild card or in the division series? What happens then? Right? So, that's really, what my that's really what my concern is. Like, how are the Dodgers fans going to feel when they get eliminated in the playoffs with this fucking expensive ass team? Because at this point, as a Mets fan who's been waiting on Yamamoto, I think Yamamoto's going to sign with the Dodgers as well. I don't think he's going to take $2 million a year and $398 million or $280 million in deferrals or whatever, because he was expected to get $200 million contract. Now it's looking more like 3 or 350 from some of the pundits that are looking at it, right? What happens when the Dodgers don't win the World Series? What happens if they don't make the World Series? Are Dodgers fans gonna burn down downtown Los Angeles? What are they gonna do? Because I'm calling it right now. Dodgers are not winning the World Series next year.
Damn.
And they may only win one in the next 10 years, if they win it at all.
Damn. So, let us know your thoughts down below. This is a long one.
I mean, yeah, it's this TSP number 80 something. We'll give you the number. But this was fun, Cap. This was fun. I hope I looked real salty and angry and emotional the whole time. I also want to make sure that I looked uneducated and that I didn't research anything. Because we don't research anything on TSP. We just talk shit.
Absolutely. So
you guys, again, this is the home of the cold truth
and the hot take. I'll see you in the next one.
Peace.